Welcome back to the Blood Bear channel. In this video, we will be reviewing the final book in the Faithful Fallen series called Wrath. Here it is, right here. There will be spoilers in this video. But before that, just a brief overview of what my thoughts were. And I thought it was pretty darn good. I thought it ended fairly well. There were some things that I think that I kind of wanted to happen. I said that in my last video a bit. That didn't happen in this one. But hey, just because it didn't happen, what I kind of wanted to happen didn't happen doesn't mean it wasn't good. So I still did really enjoy it. In this video, same structure as the previous one. My five categories, score those out of 1 out of 10, and then take the mean will be the final overall score. So first, we'll go into the structure. I did kind of I lowered this one to be an 8 out of 10 this time. It's still structured fairly well with, all the chapters and stuff. The chapters end on one page, and then on the next page a chapter begins, instead of being all weird and jumbled. But other than that, sometimes there was one part in particular that I can kind of really remember, is we were following, I think, a Macwin one or something. I think it was Macwin that we were following, so it was like Macwin, I can't remember where this exactly was. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was like we were following a fairly lot of other characters. It was either Macwin, whenever he was going up against Gundal's warband. It was either those chapters, or it was whenever Corbin and they were escaping from Graham's hold while he was being held by the Jotun giants. It was in between either one of those, and then there was just a random kind of like Rafe chapter in there. So that's why I took a point off, but it's really not that important. Okay, so yeah, structure gets an 8 out of 10. Emotional impact gets a 9 out of 10, because many a character died, and for many of them it was very satisfying, and for many of them it was also very sad. Especially whenever Lycos kidnapped Fidel again. Like, that man literally has done so many wrongs, and my goodness, did he deserve to die. Because also she just drugged Lycos after they had their picnic. Basically, she then drugged him because she wanted to go talk to Nether while Veritas was off to go rescue the captives that were being held in Drassel. So yeah, they literally she drugged him, and then Lycos immediately killed all of her guards and kidnapped her. Pretty much. And then, but after that there were a lot of Lycos' death, very satisfying. But then there are also other sadder deaths, like whenever Guard died, and Macwin, whenever he died, that was pretty sad. I mean, he went out in a really cool way, but it was still pretty sad. But what kind of upsets me about this is whenever Wolf died. I'm not sure if we really saw him being killed. We might have, and I'm just misremembering it, because I think it might have been Lycos that killed him, and Lycos wouldn't know who Wolf is, so he would have just described Wolf as any other, like one of the axe thrower guys. So that's probably where Wolf ended up actually dying. But it kind of sucks because we didn't actually get to see, it being Wolf that was killed. But yeah, very good for emotional impact there. And then world building. It's the third category here. I also gave an 8 out of 10, mainly because I was a little disappointed with some of the stuff that we didn't get to really learn about. I'm glad we got. I'll start with what I'm happy about, and that is, we got to see more and kind of learn more about the Jotun giants, and things like that. And then, although with the Jotun, they kind of just showed up at the very tail end of the battle, which I guess they might not have won. I mean, they probably wouldn't have won if the Jotun didn't show up. Adana definitely would have died. That was definitely described in one of those chapters there. I just wish we got to see they showed up earlier, and we got to see more fights, but with the Jotun giants and stuff. Other than that, I'm just kind of upset that we never got to see Elion at all. And Azeroth didn't really seem like Azeroth was built to be like this massive threat, which to the end he kind of wasn't. He was kind of just normal, like a normal threat, because Corbin was able to get some really good hits on him, and stuff. So I don't know with that one. It's probably because Azeroth was made flesh after getting through that portal to the other world. But other than that, I'm also kind of disappointed that we never really got to see any of those horse warlords in Arcana. But excluding those things, it was as good as all the other previous world building so far. So still very enjoyable. All right, now we're going to get to the next section, which is plot, which also gets a 9 out of 10 for this one. I mean, it was as good as all the other books. Although I will say that the fight between Sumar and Corbin is still the best, in my humble opinion, is still the best fight in the entire series. So there is that. Now, I did very much like seeing Calidus, Ren, Nether, Lycos, and Euthus all die. That was very nice. And then also, what's also pretty nice is the good guys that's dead. Now, I would say probably it didn't rise my emotions as much, because I mean, you always get that satisfaction whenever the bad guy gets killed, right? But I wasn't really that sad whenever some of the characters died, because especially once Fidel was dead, I knew Mac when he was gone, and Gar, I was fairly sure he was gonna either be grievously injured or die in this one. So there were a lot of characters that I thought were going to die. The ones that I thought would live was Corbin, because he's the main character. Cywin, Adana, Camlin, Veritas, and Alcyon were probably the main ones that I thought were going to live. I could see Dath dying, or Farrell dying, or any of them really, anyone else probably dying. So yeah. Anyways, I think it did have a fairly good pacing throughout it too. So that was nice. I wish we actually. The thing with the Jotun, I think it lasted a bit long, but because he doesn't really, because he gets kidnapped and nothing really happens there. So he's just there until he gets rescued during that the revolt, basically. And I wish it was kind of like he was able to, because like if he was like politically able to convince them to help them fight, I think that would maybe have been better. But I think it was fine. You know, it was still really good. Especially since we got to see the Jotun and he got to make friends with some of those giants. You know, so still very good. And then it brings us to our final section with the characters, which I gave a 9 out of 10. Again, because you know they're the same characters and they're all still really good and really fun. You know, nothing really changed. And then, but we didn't really get to see what happened much after the battle, because we know that the giants and the Ben Elam that all came, the Ben Elam, they all are going to stay at Drassel, and then the rest of the ragtag army are basically all just going back to their own countries. And then there's the only ones that don't are like Corbin, Dath, Cywin, Verdus, and Farrell. And then one giant goes with them as well. And then the men from Gramshold and some other people come in because Corbin basically wants to make just like a place where all of the finest like martial arts can be learned at Gramshold. That's kind of what he's building. Basically, he's going to make it into a world like renowned martial arts, or like, I don't really know how you would phrase it. He's teaching people how to fight at this place, and he also with Cywin might teach them some of the like the magic and stuff as well. So, and heal. Basically, it's going to be a place for knowledge to culminate all that knowledge. So, fighting many different like fighting styles and whatnot, and also medicine. So, I think the Ahar are going with Corbin as well. So, the surviving Ahar. So yeah. I also should mention that at the end of that, it also kind of Connell and Adana might get married. Was kind of interesting because they obviously have land between them that they either need to split, or Connell suggested that they just get married and then they will rule over that entire section of land together. So, but I think really realistically, there's 2 other countries that are not in there. There's because Connell's the king of Domhain and Adana's the queen of Ardan, and then there's still Carnuten. Hold on, no, Cambrin, I think is what it's called. Carnutan's another place that Gundel is from, I believe. The Ardan. Yeah, Cambrin was Ren's kingdom. So yeah, they have Cambrin and Narvon, I think is what it was called. So they can literally each just take one, and then that'll be fine as well. And then, so yeah, I don't know what that. Also, Adana did kiss Corbin on the cheek, and Corlin got very jealous. So there's that. Alright, now we're actually going to talk about some characters. Starting with Corbin, as usual. His main story arc there was we picked up right where we left off with him being captured by the Jotun giants, and Storm almost dying. And then once he gets back to Gramshold, he's recuperating. He befriends some of the giants, and whenever Gar, Dath, Farrell, and Corlin all, and Lath, I think, is there as well. They all go and help him escape. Yeah, so Gar kills what's his face? Isaldir or whatever. Gotta keep looking up these names. Ildair, the warlord of the Jotun. Yes, that is who Gar challenges to mortal combat and kills. And then Mort, his right-hand man, basically is very upset with this, and then, you know, there's a full-on revolt there, which the good guy giants win, but the old King Eld is killed, and then Mort flees, finds Corbin and his companions. They get into a fight. Storm arrives, helps kill them, and also they get reinforcements from his other giant friends. And then one of them sneakily gives Corbin the Starstone dagger, but they do not agree to fight with them in the final battle against Calidus and the Cataclysm. But yeah, and then Corbin tells all of them that the prophecy was a lie, and they're all like, okay, well, that's fine, we don't care about that, we're here for you, man. And Corlin and Corbin finally, you know, get together. And then after that, they all go back to camp, to the main, like, camp that they're all staying at. And they prepare for that final fight, pretty much, where a lot of the people died. So yeah, and then in that final fight, we have Corbin. Basically, he fights Calidus after Calidus basically kills Gar. He fights Corbin, then goes fights Calidus, kills Calidus in that world, and then in like the physical realm, and then he goes to the other world because Corbin also got like very wounded, because Gar's final lesson, you know, was basically, you know, sometimes to win a hit you have to take a hit. So Corbin took that hit and then killed Calidus, and almost dying himself, and then he goes to the other world, grabs Calidus, drags him to that lake where there's that thing, I don't remember what its name is, but it eats like Cataclysm, Ben Elam, it eats everything, and then he gives Calidus to that guy and leaves. So Calidus gets devoured by him. But yeah, everything that I wish to see from Corbin that didn't happen is pretty much, I wish he got to talk to Elion. I wish he was the one that killed Azeroth, because Azeroth died from Cywin finished her chant and destroyed all the treasures, and that basically that metal, like all the metal melted and shattered, and then it covered Azeroth and Michael, killing both of them. So that's pretty much all that happened with Corbin. And then I guess next I want to talk about Fidel for a little bit. She is kind of not that important in this book. I say not that important. She is important to some extent, but she doesn't really have much character going on. Her main goal is to talk to Nether and try to get Seta back on the right path, which she never even gets the chance to do, because she drugs Makwin and gets captured by Lycos, and then, you know, Lycos was tasked with getting the Torque, so Fidel gets taken with them. Then Makwin follows with some other men. They get into a fight. Lycos dangles her on the side of like a cliff that goes down into the water with a bunch of jagged rocks. she breaks free of his grip because Mac Gwynne is about to surrender himself to Lycos so that she can live. So then she does that, and she's like, yeah, kill this bastard. And then so she dies, and then Lycos still escapes. That freaking cockroach. So yeah, that's what happens with Fidel. And then Mac Gwynne, sees her ragged body on the side of the rocks when he looks down there. It's very, very sad. Which is why we'll talk about Mac Gwynne now. Mac Gwynne has a very, very tragic story there, because he starts out, he's the shield man to Castel, and then Castel gets stabbed and killed in the that one raid at the end of the first book, and then he is taken with revenge against Yale, but before he can do that, he gets captured by Lycos and made into basically a pit fighter slave. And then once he's free of that, then he meets Fidel, and then Fidel, then dies in this book. He also gets recaptured by Lycos and tortured. So that also happens in that last book there. Not in this book. In this one, only Fidel also gets recaptured by Lycos. Because, they don't suffer enough, I guess. Although she was not really touched this time, so that's good. Because, he was being very careful with not getting stabbed again by her. So yeah. So anyways, in the beginning of his basically story for this one, they basically run back in with Alcyon and Veritas, and then they decide, they're all talking about having to go find Corbin and Michael, and then he's like, well, before we decide to do that, why don't we just go kill this guy? And by this guy, he's referring to Gundel, because Gundel and Lothar are building roads to Drassel. And so Mac Gwynne decides, let's just go fight these guys and figure out what to do after that. So that's what they do. And then whenever that happens, Mac Gwynne sees Yale, and he gets that good old rage going, and he gets to kill Yale. I don't remember exactly how he kills him, but he does kill him. So that's one down, one more to go. So yeah, and then it was after that fight then all the stuff with Fidel happened, and then he got back after that, still wanting to kill Lycos. And then the final fight happened. He saw Lycos on the battlefield after he rested for a little while, and then chased him all around, got picked up by one of the Cowshim, killed that Cowshim, landed back on the ground, still going after Lycos, until eventually he cornered Lycos. They were both in the forest there, Foreign Forest, and the ants came. Mac Gwynne pinned Lycos onto a tree with his knives, and watched as he got devoured by ants. And then he was very close to deciding to end his life there, because he got his vengeance back. He was done. Before I guess I'll finish this up and then I'll mention Legion. So yeah, but then he decides, he hears the battle in the distance. He's like, okay, I can still fight. I'm gonna go fight until I can't anymore. And since he did that, he actually saves. I still don't know how you pronounce some of these names. Haylan, the little kid, that's supposed to be the rightful king of Isiltir. He's running away from a drake that, he led into the battlefield to do some damage, and it did do damage. But now it's about to kill him. So then Mac Gwynne gets involved. He knocks him out of the way and fights the drake himself. And that's how he ends up dying. He gets mauled to death by a drake, but he does kill the drake as well. So he dies pretty coolly. Because also he saw Tahir, and Tahir wasn't going to be able to make it to the kid. So there's that. But yeah, and then also on that same island where they were finding the Torque, Maquin gets into a fight with Legion, which is what allows Lycos to escape. If it wasn't for that, Lycos probably would have died. There's a really awesome fight scene there, with eventually, because I think he stabbed him with a spear into a tree, and then he was Legion was pulling himself off the spear, and then like that, he decapitated Legion there. It was very cool. And then he chucked the head of Legion at Lycos while he was running away, which was also funny. Because he's like, I can come and take your head next. Which he didn't. He let him get devoured by ants, which is much more painful, I think. Because they were, how some of the ant deaths are described is they pick you clean, basically. So they're tearing out small chunks of your flesh everywhere along your body. And even mentions his genitals being torn apart as well, I believe. And then they also crawl all in your face and mouth, and then your internal organs. It's crazy. It'd be crazy. Anyways, but that's basically it for Maquin. That's what he does. And then Veritas. I also probably will not be talking about the villains much in this one because they all die. So I'll be talking about how they are killed in said characters that kill them. So yeah, Veritas. He's fairly interesting. He's a very interesting character, and he's grown a lot in this last couple books. Whenever he found out the truth. So yeah, he has to accept that he was on the wrong side, and now he's fighting to set things right, basically. And he played a very important role because he had he had his own Eagle Guard and Shield Wall, so he kind of marched up to the gates of Drassel, entered without any problems, and was able to go and then free some of the captives there. Unfortunately, not Cywin. Cywin was somewhere else because she had to go get the other woven cubs, and I don't remember what their names are, but Wolf's children. She had to go get them as well. So then they ended up getting actually cornered. I will talk about that in Cywin's part. But yeah, he frees those captives, and yeah, very integral. And it's a good thing he did, because literally every single day, Calidus would Legion would select them originally, but they put a spear down and then slowly just drop the person on that spear and then let them just die like that. So they would die a very slow and agonizing death. So yeah, Veritas was a big part of freeing those captives, and setting Cywin free, because she was about to be burned to death for being a witch by the Venthalin there. And yeah, and then we get into that final fight there. We get back to the final fight where Veritas is leading his shield wall. He's actually the one fighting against Nether, and eventually both sides are fairly decimated. There's the Ben Elam and the Cataclysm fighting in disguise. Everybody's dying, and it's pretty much if Alcyon, Veritas, and Nether's drag had just died. He got tossed off of it, and they all look to see this is whenever the Jotun arrive, and Alcyon and Veritas both look to see what's going on, and then Veritas looks back and sees basically Nether. He's about to kill Alcyon, and so Veritas, without even thinking really, I think he just plunges his sword into Nether and kills him. He kills him, protects Alcyon, and then after the battle, we get to see him being like, well, I just, you know, he's feels very guilty about killing Nether, you know, because Nether was his best friend for a fairly long time. That he also like considered him as brother because they swore an oath, you know. But then Krellis also was killed in battle by Lycos, so he also lost that brother as well there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for him. He probably lives a happy life. He will be the one teaching the shield wall at Corbin's school. Originally, they wanted, he was suggested to be the new king of Tenenbrawl, which he promptly rejected, and is like, no thanks. So somebody else is doing that. He's going with Corbin because he likes Cywin, for sure. And I think he's going to be the one teaching the shield wall, which I already said. But anyways, now let's get into Cywin. Cywin plays a very important role in this book, especially after Brenna dies and is killed by Calidus. So she's the only one that is capable of destroying the 7 treasures once Brenna's dead. So that's her responsibility. And then Rin kind of interrupts her, right? Because it's Rin and Calidus, a bunch of Catachem, and some of Rin's men that are in that area where the treasures are being held. And then so Rin is the one that goes to stop them. Cywin and Dath kind of are the ones who kill Rin, because she drank from the goblet, so she's harder to kill, basically. I should probably mention how Euthys dies, since he's also part of that kind of entourage there. Euthys also drank from the cup, so he's also like revitalized. He basically has a duel with him and his best shield man have a duel. It's not supposed to be a duel. He thinks that all the other Benothi that are like kind of with him are on his side, except that they're not, because they just learned that he killed their leader. Like, he's the one, he actually murdered him. It's not that she just fell, right? So yeah, and then so they kind of have that duel where then Euthys gets killed in that. And he's very upset about it, because he's like, why am I dying? I drank from the cup. I should be stronger than you. But nope. It's dead. Yep. So yeah, and then Cywin and Dath kill Rin. Cywin throws her knives at Rin while Dath plucks her with arrows. And she dies. And then after that, Cywin does her magics and explodes the 7 treasures, killing Azeroth and Michael. She's the one that kills Azeroth, which is kind of funny. Or at least Azeroth is assumed to be dead. He got hurt by a sword, so I would imagine molten metal will kill him. But other than that, she doesn't really do much. She's kind of the one that leads that, going through the underground passage into the Drake's Den. She's kind of the one that leads that. But other than that, she doesn't really do that much. So, that's all for Cywin there. Now, Camlin, at the end of this, Adana asks Camlin to be her advisor, which he agrees to. And he plays some very important roles in this book. He's a very big part of stealing the Starstone necklace right from under Rin's nose. But unfortunately that ended. I say unfortunately, I'm glad that one of these characters dies. One of the other ones maybe not. Didn't really get a chance to really know him. But yeah, Royson gets killed and Lorcan gets killed because Royston thought that she had Morkant under her thumb, basically, because she's like a seductress kind of character. But no, Morkant literally, because Lorcan's about to surrender the necklace so that all of them can live, right? And that is obviously not the case. Camlan's like, don't listen to this guy. He's a snake. He's not going to tell you the truth, and he's not going to let us live. And Lorcan, being the naive kid that he is, decides to trust Morkant because he thinks that his mom has him under her spell, which promptly finds out that is not the case because I think he literally cuts Lorcan's throat. Royston is, shocked and devastated. Lorcan throws the necklace up. I think somebody else gets it. I think Kraft gets it, catches it in the air, and then flies away. But yeah, Brogan goes to a rage. Then Morkant also kills Royston, or Rin does. I'm not entirely sure, but they both die. Camlan and Vaughn escape. Brogan also escapes barely alive with not barely alive. He's got a big old head injury. But yeah. And then it is actually, they use his plan, Camlan's plan, in the battle against Morkant after Ren and Euthys and the majority of their army left. They left Morkant in charge because Evenus is dead. They use Camlan's plan there, and they end up killing Morkant. They're about to kill Rafe too, but then Rafe kind of, he begs for mercy, and then Camlan spares him his life, goes off to go deal, because Halion is dueling against Morkant, and Morkant's about to kill Adonis until he gets plucked with arrows by Camlan. So Camlan deals with that, and then while Camlan's distracted, Rafe stabs with a knife that I think he had hidden, or was just on the ground, stabs Baird, kills him, and then nearly kills Brogan, I believe. So, before running off. And then, after all that happens, they meet up. Camlan and Adonis Warband meet up with Corbin. They enter the final battle. Rafe stabs Connell in the back because Connell was with Ren. They exit the gate to go to war in quotation marks. He flips sides. Rafe is down there with him. Rafe does not flip sides, so he stabs Connell in the back. He just makes everybody think that he does. Stabs Connell in the back. Halion is trying to defend his brother, but then he gets killed. And then Rafe runs away. So Camlan goes after him, and then with the help of Meg, Blood-Eye, the Wolven Cubs, and Shield, who Rafe was riding, he's able to kill Rafe, who also, at the end of his life, begs for mercy, and then he's like, mercy? I'm not falling for that again, kid. And yeah, he kills him, which is good, because he was a little prick, Alright, last character that I think we're going to talk about is the little Isiltir king boy. It's not Halen. Halen? I'm going to say Halen. So, anyways, Halen's main contribution was looking after Storm and Blood-Eye's cubs there. But he also was responsible for leading them back through the Drake's labyrinth of lair, and so he led them back there so they could find their way into Drassel. Corbin and his little group, so that they can destroy the treasures. And then also he then went and stole an egg and brought 3 dregs onto the battlefield, tossed the egg into Nether's shield wall reinforcements, and the dregs completely obliterated them. So he was kind of a big help. He was a brave little boy, that's for sure. But yeah, I think that's all I'm really going to talk about, because that was pretty much all the main story beats there. It was a phenomenal book. Final total for my rating is a 4.3 out of 5 total. So that's the video there. If you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. All right.